Hey guys! Okay, so in this video I'm going to be explaining how I made this sword for my Katarina cosplay. So let's look at the materials we're going to need. You're going to need to print out a stencil that you'll use for the sword. Make sure it has the details on them, that's kind of important, it's going to help you later. We're also going to need some craft foam. I think for the sword I used 6mm foam. 1cm foam should be fine as well. This is 1cm foam, it's nice and bendy, which is why you're also going to need cardboard to make the base of the sword and give it some stability. Then we're also going to be using Worbla. You can use other thermoplastics as well, but this is just what I've been using for this. We're also gonna, so this is the handle, and this is actually made from expanding foam that's been wrapped in paper tape. I'll try and explain that later, so you need some expanding foam and some paper tape as well. Scissors, of course. For the foam, you're going to need one of these. This is a Dremel. It's like a little hand sander, and it's really, really great for putting details onto your foam and making shapes with the foam. You're also going to need a heat gun. A hairdryer is not going to work for thermoplastic. It's not going to get hot enough, so you do need a heat gun. I basically have everything ready here to build the sword now. I'm going to try and explain as best as I can my process of getting to this point. So the first step of this entire process is actually printing out a stencil. Scaling things, for me, I don't think my way is the right way of doing it, but I basically use sheets of A4 paper and I line them up and I see if that would be the right size for the prop I want to make, and then I use Photoshop and I break the design down onto, like, for this one it was 2 A4 sheets of paper, so I split the sword onto 2 A4 sheets of paper and I printed it out, stuck them together. When you make your stencil, you're also going to want to keep have the details of the sword on here, because it's going to help you later. So you're going to also, it's time consuming and it's a pain, but it's really, really helpful to actually cut these little details out so that you can use this as an actual stencil and draw the details, because you're going to need to draw it, I think 4 times, so you need a stencil. Cool. So you're going to take the stencil and you're going to lay it out on your cardboard. Then you're going to cut the cardboard out, and you're also going to cut 2 pieces of foam out. You're going to then sandwich the cardboard in between those 2 pieces of foam. You can see here. The white cardboard is in between these 2 pieces of black foam. So once that is done and the foam is stuck onto the cardboard nice and securely, you're going to take the Dremel and you're going to sand these edges down. Because when you have your foam, if you just stick it straight on, you're not gonna have that sort of blade edge, that beveled edge. It's gonna look like a piece of foam stuck onto a piece of cardboard. So Dremel it down so that it's like a nice edge there. And that is basically how I've gotten to this point, is just taking the cardboard, cutting the shape out, cutting 2 identical pieces of foam out, sticking them onto the cardboard, and then dremeling the edges into the shape that I want. Cool. So once you have got this step done with the foam and the cardboard and it's all peachy, you're gonna cut out 2 pieces of Worbla that you're gonna then wrap over the sword. So I normally cut a little bit extra around the shape, just so that I can press them together nicely and it'll be nice and sealed. So once you've cut out your 2 pieces of Worbla, you're going to heat it up and then sandwich it. Line it up nicely and press on it just to get it to stick to the foam. Line it up again, and now you can start pressing those 2 edges together. try keep it as smooth as possible because it's gonna make it easier when you prime. Any bubbles that appear now are gonna appear when you paint. It just makes it easier. Okay, so now we're gonna cut along the edge here. And there you go, there's one side done. Okay, we're gonna still neaten this up though. They open up like that. Okay, my camera doesn't focus, but if you open it up like that, if it opens up like that when you're cutting it, just press it down again after you heat it up. So now we can heat it up again, just to neaten the edges. Okay, so now that this is neat and all the edges are cleaned up, we're going to take the stencil that I was talking about earlier and we're going to lay it out here. So something like that. And now you can trace the shapes. This is gonna act as a layout for the shapes that you're then gonna cut out and stick on here. Okay. There it is. Both sides look sort of even. Cool. So now you're going to draw around the edge here along this line. There you go. So now you are going to take the same stencil and you're going to lay it out on a piece of Worbla and you're going to cut out each individual shape, and it takes a lot of time. So I've already done this. I've got all my little shapes already cut out over here and they're waiting to be stuck on. So you're going to take your heat gun and you're going to heat it up. And now you can just stick these patterns on. See? Yeah. So just keep going doing that. Oopsie, air bubbles are forming. Crack. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of air bubbles. You're going to need to take a pin, and I don't know if you can see, so but here are the bubbles. You can see them. You poke in there. And now you can push the air out. And the bubble is gone. So this one, get out of there. This is going really quickly now, but actually it took me like half an hour to cut all these little shapes out before this. And there you go. One side done. So just repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we're going to be taking, I'm going to use my pair of scissors for this. We're going to heat up along this line and we're going to push it in and give it a bit of an indentation so it's this appears to be of a higher level than this. Okay, so I'm gonna just start pushing in here like that, and you can see it starts to make I wish my camera focused, but okay, yeah, we're gonna just I'll do the whole thing. actually have this handy little tool. It's a sculpting tool, but I use it on everything. A lot of people you should probably do this actually before you put your Worbla on with like a Dremel or something. It makes it easier. But this is how I did it with the other one, so I'll show you how to do it. Okay, you can kind of see now that there's a bit of an indentation here. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot, it's just enough so that it looks like it's a bit more three-dimensional. Yeah, there you go. You can see better now with this one. So then we're just going to do this all the way around the edges. Looking good. Okay, so that's before, and that is after. It's subtle, but it's there. Cool, so you're going to do this other side now, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now that the blade part is done, we're going to be moving on to the hilt. So we're going to be using a piece of craft foam cut out into this shape. You can use 1 centimeter foam. I've used 2 pieces of thinner foam that I've stuck together. Doesn't really matter, it's just going to act as a base to add some thickness, because Worbla itself is actually really, really thin. So we're going to take the shape, cut out 2 pieces of Worbla that are slightly bigger, because you're going to wrap them around the edges here. So let's heat up the one piece. Now we're going to take it and lay it over. And then we fold these pieces down. If it's not going down well, you could just cut some slits in it. Don't worry about these edge pieces too much. We're going to cover them with strips of Worbla. Trim if it's sticking up like here. You're going to cut it off. Just level it out. Something like that. Now we're going to take this piece and if you just press down on it, it should be fine. Okay, so now you're going to trim off this excess. Something like that. You can now just like heat it up and press the edges together. Again, you don't have to stress about this looking pretty at the moment. We're going to make it look pretty. Oop. Bubbles. Sort the bubbles out. Pin. And press the air out. If you don't poke a hole in it, it will just move the bubble around. It really doesn't get rid of it. Now they're gone. Okay. Now, we are going to take strips like this, and we're going to put them around the edges. Because Worbla is so thin, I've actually laid 2 strips on top of each other just to thicken it up a bit. So, you're going to take 2 strips, cut them out the same thickness, and then heat them up and stick them together. Make sure they're pressed together nice and tight. If you want to fix the edges again and make them completely straight, you can just take a ruler and press them against the ruler. Like this. And there's your strips, and now we're going to put them around. So that's one strip. You can make the slits look a little bit neater just by pressing them with a pair of scissors. It's a bit nicer. Now that looks nice and neat. So now we're going to take this hilt piece and we are going to stick it onto this blade. So just heat the two pieces up. Try and make sure it's in the center when we do this. So now, just to reinforce this attachment, we're going to take another strip that's slightly thicker and wrap it around here. And now we're going to wrap it around here. Select this cool, and we will move on to the next step. Okay, so this next step is the handle part. So how I've made this is I cut out the cardboard shape. I then put a little bit of expanding foam on each side, and I've carved this shape here. So this just gives me a little bit of bulk around the handle. And then I've covered the holes with paper tape. So once this is done, I'm gonna now cover this in Worbla because at the moment it's a little bit bendy and stuff, and Worbla adheres to itself and is really, really strong when it adheres to itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this sheet of Worbla and I'm gonna wrap it around here. Ow, that's hot. Ow. This also doesn't need to be neat because actually you're going to cover this piece of the handle with leather. Like, it's a bit lumpy, whatever, doesn't matter, it's just there so that it doesn't flop around. Cool. So, now, this piece also needs to be covered in Worbla. It's gonna look something like this when we're done. So this is how I've basically done it. I took a top piece, which is this strange oval shape, and then I made this piece, which is then going to wrap around the strange oval shape. So let's do this. So we're just going to wrap it around. Whoops, I have made a miscalculation. Actually, this should be slightly slanted. It's okay though, Worbla is really, really versatile, so you can fix a lot of accidents that you make. Let's see how I do this now. I think what I can do is cut here at an angle. Now I can do the other side at an angle. So we need to cut it like it's Okay, so this is what it looks like. We're going to cut it like this. So it's like at an angle. Hopefully if I stick this piece on now, it'll be at an angle as well. Oh, prices loaded. We are back on track. Just heat it up. Make sure that your seams here are joined nicely. You will be able to cover this when you prime it if your seams are a bit rough looking. Just try and get them as neat as possible, that makes it easier. Alright, so this thing is cooled down now, and it's kind of hard, and now I can put it onto this hilt. Still not easy, but there we go. Wonderful. So there's our hilt. Looks pretty similar to the other one. I'm okay with that. So now we're going to attach this to the sword. So what I'm going to do is take this thicker piece of Worbla, which I was talking about earlier, and now I'm going to wrap it around here. Heat both the pieces up. Now you can stick them together. Just make sure your handle is facing the right way. Just double check, yeah. Okay. And then let it cool down. Alrighty, so for the last bit, I'm not actually going to do it now, but I'm just going to explain how it works. You're going to take a piece of vinyl or pleather, like this, and you will wrap it around, something like that. But then it just looks nice and neat and fancy. And yeah, that's basically how we make the sword. Okay, so here is the final product. You can now prime it and paint it and cover it in leather and do fantastic things with it. So I hope I covered everything. I hope I was clear enough on stuff. If I wasn't, feel free to ask me any questions. I will also have frequently asked questions in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow my progress on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks, guys!